Hey everybody, Jeremy here from Shade Tree Vintage Auto and DD Auto and Salvage in Logan, Utah. Today we're going to be working on doing the K-frame, the lower suspension, the upper front suspension, as well as installing the awesome LEED disc brake setup. It's going to make the Fugitive a way better car. And then at the end we'll do a cost breakdown of what all of this stuff costs. Just a little bit of what we're going to be installing up front, or right now, is the QA1 lower control arms. We've got the Borgeson power steering box. We have the QA1 dynamic strut bars, which are really cool because they do away with that rubber bushing that always wears out and causes a lot of looseness in play. And then just for the time being, I'm using the factory sway bar. I'm not sure which sway bar I want to go with just yet. So we're just going to reinstall that one, which is really cool because it actually mounts up to the QA1 lower control arms. Also, we're going to be installing the plate for the Schumacher torque strap, which, as you've seen, I've used on pretty much all of my cars. It's really cool, keeps that engine right in place. And I don't know about you guys, but I like to drive my cars hard, and when you're doing burnouts and stuff like that, this really helps. So anyway, we're gonna go ahead and jump in, just get started. Probably first thing we're going to do is install the lower control arms, which, as you can see, are really cool, really nice piece. And as we go, there will be other parts that we install once we actually install everything in the car. So yeah, so we're going to go ahead and just start. So I think put this one in. And when you have the K-frame out, it's really easy, and that's kind of what we're going to do. The K-frame and current front suspension are still in the Super B, and we'll remove all of that. That will be in the video of just the car. This is going to be its own stuff. We'll remove that, install all of this stuff in one. It'll be pretty cool. So, and then like I said, we're going to do a cost breakdown of what all of this stuff will cost, which I'll tell you right now, it's not inexpensive, but you're getting awesome quality parts. So really easy to install these. And one tip that I've been told is when you install these, leave them mildly loose until you actually get them in the car. You put the torsion bars in, all of that stuff, and then you put jack stands under the lower control arm so that there's weight on it. Then you tighten everything up. That way it actually tightens up right where it's supposed to sit when you're driving the car. Otherwise you're going to have a lot of binding, which we learned the hard way on Walter, the 69 Dodge Dart, and the rear suspension. The rear suspension is really tight, so I'm actually going to pull it back in another video and put it up in the air and just loosen everything and then retighten it. So really easy. Oh, I think I forgot. I need the 1/2-inch drive socket so we can tighten these up. Ratchet. It should be somewhere. Yeah, that one right there. So now, like other things like the steering box, that can be tightened, put to the torque specs, all of that. But it's mainly just the movable parts. You want to kind of leave them loose. Snug them up for sure, but just keep them kind of loose. No, in fact, if you want to just tighten it up right there, just the impact won't fit. And then the strut bars are really easy as well. You just want to make sure, if you look right here, you can see that there's a hind joint. You want to make sure that they're vertical in this, or semi-vertical, so that you have that movement up and down like that. If you have it like this, it's got a little bit, but not as much as if you have it like this. This is the way suspension flexes, so you want it lined up that direction. That through like this. You can see it actually lines up in that hole. So be sure to start. You know what? I'm having a hard time right here. This is for the blooper reel, right? So we'll actually go down with it, maybe. Hey, this is fun. We're all learning together.
Would it be better to put it in here and then there?
No, there's not enough room for that. I have to go clear it. I know it's possible because I have them on a couple other cars. Start like that. You know what we did wrong? Put the lower control arms all the way in first. So go ahead and loosen that one back up. So you want to start with the strut bars. Jeez. Why are you making so much noise over there? Just take the nut off all the way, then you can put it like that. And then put it in like so. There we go. That was so much easier. I don't know why I didn't think about that beforehand. Hey, just remember we're trained professionals. That was a joke. Now you can go ahead and start tightening this one up. Man, that looks pretty. Yep. And because I'm OCD, I want everything to be the same direction, or in this case, opposite directions. So like the bolt here, I want those facing inward. Yeah, that side I got right. And then this K-frame we're using is actually, and I should have shown you that first, it's the 1970 440 high power 440 6-pack one. So it's got the skid pan on the K-frame, which you want to use with the 402 pan if you can. The 402 pan was a little bit deeper, took an extra quart of oil and everything. That's what was also ran on the 440 6-pack and the 440 hypos from 1970 to 1972, I believe. The same with the skid pan, 1970, 1972. What?
Do you loosen this up a little, or is that
Does it have movement? You're good. So, turn that like that just a little bit. Go ahead and tighten that one up. Then the bottom nut for this is right there. Right side. So I'm going to zap this tight, but I'll come back over and torque it here in a little bit. Still need to get the torque specs off the instruction sheets. So you still have all the adjustability you can't see from that angle, but you can turn the strut rod and everything. And that adjusts the lower control arm back and forth some, which from the factory you didn't have that adjustability. Go ahead and tighten those ones. Yeah. You can use the impact for that. I think that is this one. Yes, sir. So you can tighten that. And so, I mean, it's that quick to just get this all loosely installed. Yeah, I know, it's kind of tight. I think we need to put some PV blaster on that. So the next thing I'm going to install is the Borgeson power steering box. And I don't remember the ratio right off the top of my head, But I will tell you that this is basically 3 turns lock to lock, which I think the original was over 4. So you're gonna have way quicker steering. It's gonna be awesome. Plus it's a lot smaller than a factory power steering box, weighs a lot less. All around, just a way better system. So I'm super excited to have that in the car. This is where we're gonna have to probably lift the back of the K-frame up. Oh, hold on. Probably have to do jams, nuts first. So go ahead and just leave those ones loose for now. We'll tighten all that stuff up in the car so we can get it adjusted correct. So now there it is. So the power steering box bolts, these are just factory ones. I actually didn't even clean them up because I got lazy. But they're 12 point, so you have to use a 1/2 inch 12 point socket on them. Go ahead and we're gonna just kind of prop something under here. We'll just use a sweet flashlight for a minute. See if that props it up or not, which it won't. But if you want to hold that in place, I'll deal with it in a minute. These are essentially direct fit, direct bolt-in replacement. The only thing you have to do when you install these is you have to modify your steering column a little bit because you're going to use a different style of joint where it mounts from the steering column to the steering box. But it's a way better system, so even though you have to kind of cut your column just a little bit, it's going to be well worth it. And again, we'll come back through and torque all of this to spec. You're not supposed to use chrome sockets on impact. If I'm honest, the only sockets I broke with an impact are impact sockets. Okay, so we're good there. And then that piece, this is just the rubber grommet that goes over here, just kind of a dust shield. So I mean, it's really that quick to install this lower stuff. Again, I know we have to tighten it and everything, but it's really not that hard of a job. Now we're gonna go through, we're just gonna go ahead and put this pitman arm and idler arm. I like to use good quality stuff, especially when we're building something like this. So I ordered Moog. And another cool thing about this steering box is it uses just the factory style, factory size idler arm and pitman arm. Idler arm doesn't really matter because it's mounted over here. So, and these do go on multiple ways. So I'm not going to tighten it down until we actually put the outer tie rods in and everything. So I'll probably put that on in the car once we have everything kind of bolted together. But the idler arm we can put on right now because that doesn't really matter. It only goes on one way, so really simple. So what?
Size.
We won't worry about tightening it up right now just because we'll wait till it's all down there and I want it to be able to swivel. Once you tighten it, it kind of gets a little bit tight. So we'll leave it a little bit loose. Don't use your teeth as tools. It's bad for you. Just don't lose the cotter pin. So I'm just going to put that in the box with the pitman arm for now. And it's going to mount this direction. So your ball joint is going to be aiming down. Sit it up a little bit. Look at that. All of this, like I've cleaned this, I vacuumed it out, everything, painted it, all that, and it still has dirt come out. Oh, it's funny. Came with a cotter pin, and there's not even a hole in the bolt. So we may have to steal one from the factory K-frame later with the cotter pinhole. Because I do movable parts like this, you kind of want to have the cotter pin in there. The other thing I like, mount the bolt coming through pointing down. So if for whatever reason the nut does come off, at least you still have the bolt just with the, you know, the gravity pull staying in, hopefully. Just a little peace of mind if nothing else. So anyway, really, that was what it took to build the lower, or the K-frame and lower suspension. Granted, like I said, we'll tighten everything up once we get it in the car. Anyway, oh wait, never mind. The cotter pins for right here. So I know some of you guys would be like, oh, a bunch of idiots over there working on a car. Well, aren't we all? We're working on cars instead of putting our money somewhere where we should. So anyway, that is this. Now, let's see, I guess we could hurry and put the sway bar mount stand and the torque strap, or the torque strap piece. So one thing I will say, factory sway bar and the Schumacher torque strap, and I'm going to reach out to Chris and just let him know this. And if you don't know, Chris is the owner of Schumacher. We had to drill an extra hole right here so that the sway bar will mount. So the bracket fits on one direction. When you put it on, the sway bar actually mounts through this hole, and we didn't have a hole here. So we had to actually just bolt it together, drill this hole right here. So once we put the sway bar, the actual pieces on, they're gonna mount here. Bolt will still go through. You can get to the other side on the inside just fine. So it just needs that one little modification right here. Super easy. Anyway, so we're gonna get this going. I always like to use new hardware if I can. So I went down to the store and just grabbed some. Now I just gotta find it. Here. And kind of that same thing I mentioned. Always put the bolts down like this. So now this is going to be kind of a sandwich of the K-frame. This is going to come through here, bolt, and then the sway bar mount, and they are different. So you've got to mount them like this so they fit in the K-frame. You see how it's cut right here? That's going to fit in this little rounded area. So we're going to put this like that. So they're bolt ready. Put it through. And then I got the nylock just because that way it locks them. You can use whatever kind you actually prefer, but I prefer the nylock. Super easy. And along with all the price stuff, I'm also going to put links and part numbers and everything down in the description so you guys can build this exact same thing that I'm building. It'll be really easy for you. Like I said, lots of really cool, really good quality parts. It's going to just make your car way, way, way better. And oh gosh, I'm an idiot. It's Monday morning, just so you're aware. I forgot to put the other piece in. That would have been really dumb. I might need to send you on a coffee run. Just cream. Here, let's sit this up so people can see what we're doing. All that dirt. Like I said, I've already went through and cleaned all this and everything, and it's still. This is that skid pan I was talking about. It's really, like, it's very small. It doesn't really do much, but if you want to grab 4 or 2 bolts, 4 washers. So, and this is live uncut, basically, so you can see how long it took us. It didn't take us very long, even with our stupidity and mistakes. And then the sway bar will be fairly easy to replace once the car is done and I figure out what I want, because it all basically, it does go through this hole, which is kind of a pain, but as long as you have good jack stands and everything, you're good. We can tighten these up. I believe they're all 9/16. They might have a 5/8. It's not. Let me see this socket or this. Yeah, so just hand me the 9/16 socket, the 9/16 socket, or hand me the 9/16 wrench. You put the socket on that.
Is it 9/16 wrench or socket 5/8?
It's a 9/16. So, and then just hit top one. That's what I'm on.
Good.
Keep going. Okay. And on this side. There we go. Okay, so this is loosely put together, and like I said, we'll tighten everything else up once we actually get it in the car and get torsion bars hooked up, front suspension all on, or the upper part of the front suspension with spindles and brakes, and go from there. So I'm going to just show you what it looks like real quick, and then we're going to remove this and bring the spindles over, front suspension, upper part, and all the brake stuff, and start going from there. So I'm back. We built one side. This is the driver's side, so we're going to build the passenger side really quick. This is what it's going to look like. And we've got the new LEED's Max Grip 4-piston caliper disc brake conversion for the car. And what's kind of cool also is the calipers are built by Willwood, so you know, great quality, which LEED's is great quality anyway. And then we put the QA1 upper control arm on it. Anyway, so we're just going to jump right in. There is a certain process or a certain way to go, what needs to go on first, all of that stuff, so we'll kind of go over that. I did already pack the bearings because nobody wants to watch that boring crap. Anyway, so we're just going to go ahead and get started. Also, make sure that you put this piece on the correct direction. You can put the calipers on the front or the back. I chose to go on the back, mostly just so there's more room up front for the sway bar. Because at the lower, on the lower control arm, the sway bar is going to be like right in this area. You want to make sure you have enough room, so back it is. Anyway, so we're going to go ahead and get started. So this piece, pretty easy, just mounts, really simple. And you can see the parts that we're going to use here. The only thing that I'm using off of the original parts are the spindles, which that's something I should mention as well. These are factory drum brake spindles, and there's not a left or a right. They're both the same part number. They're both identical, so you can put them back on whichever side you want. Doesn't really matter. But we're going to get this all put in. So I put that on first. Then you're going to put your ball joint, the lower ball joint, and be sure to put it on the right way. And you have a new bolt that came with the kit right here that goes through because your plate is a little bit larger. And then this is the only bolt that I used from the original, which was one of the lower ball joints. Put that in. really easy. Move that out of the way so you can kind of watch what I'm doing. By the way, before anybody says your sound quality kind of sucks, I'm looking at all sorts of different mics, and it's really hard to find a mic that works in this situation. So I am working on that, so the sound quality will be better in the future, but it takes a lot of trial and error. So that will be in the future. So I know the sound quality is not perfect here, but it will get well where it's way better. We need, yep, so we'll hurry and zap top ones. We'll go back through and torque all this stuff later on, probably off camera because it's just kind of boring. And if you want to come over here and help on this side. So one other thing we didn't note using the factory spindles is there was a couple just little bit high spots on the spindle. So we just hit it with a file. So I'd always make sure to check that the bearing fits over the spindle before you put it all in and everything, because otherwise you're going to run into problems. Just make sure it fits on nice. Really easy. Takes a few minutes if you have to hit it with a file. No big deal though. So, okay, go ahead and slope this one first. And you want to make sure that the castle nut lines up down here, which we got lucky and it lined up right on the first try. So ball joint and the caliper plate are installed. So now you have this little ring here that goes on. And it goes on one way. There's a side that's kind of beveled. That goes down. Sit it there. Then we'll go ahead and flip this over. We're gonna put the bearing in, and I put a little bit of grease inside the hub just because it never hurts to have a little bit of extra grease. And we have the seal. Make sure you get that seal all the way seated. Really easy. And then obviously once you get it all on the car, everything you're gonna want to spray everything down with brake cleaner. Make sure it's nice and clean. Sit that on. Okay, and it is in place. Put the other bearing. Always have lots of rags because I don't know if you're like me, but I hate grease. Spin's nice, there's no clearance issues. Put this little washer on. Then you have your castle nut. I mean, this is really very straightforward. Just take your time and figure it out. Chances are, if you're doing this, you've probably done it before anyway, so. And once we get it on the car, we're gonna go through, redo everything, like I've said 100 times. So. Now we're gonna install the caliper. So you've got the bolts right here, or the threads right here on that plate. So install right here. There's these little spacers that go in between the plate and the caliper. So when you put it on, what I did, I just kind of took this like that, put that there, slid it on the first one. Make sure you get them to go in straight so you don't mess it up later. Now the caliper's installed. I mean, it's really that quick and that simple to install all this as a unit, or build it into a unit. The 9/16 wrench over there. Oh. So this is just a little fitting for the line. Has a little spacer washer there. Make sure the surface is clean. Really, like I said, straightforward and simple. And then the A-arms, there is a driver and a passenger side, so you want to make sure you put it on the right way. One of the quickest ways to tell on B-bodies and E-bodies anyway is there's a little rubber pad on the body that hits right here, and it sits in front of the wheel. So this is the passenger side so that it can hit that rubber bump stop. So pretty simple. And that's all it took to get this awesome front spindle with the LEED disc brakes. Use the factory drum brake spindle, QA1 upper control arm. Like really straightforward. You could have this whole job done easily in a day, even in the car. Dropping the K-frame out how we're doing it, even though some of it's easier, it's going to make other things more complicated. And you can watch that all in the video when we put the car together. Really, like I said, very straightforward, great quality parts. I love QA1. I've used it on a lot of vehicles. LEED, this is the second car we've used LEED on, and I'm really impressed with it. Very easy to install, great fitting, looks good. I mean, and it functions way better than any factory brakes would. I have nothing bad to say about any of this stuff, really. Anyway, so I'm going to do a price breakdown here in just a little bit. But now I think we're going to work on the other video of actually doing the disassembly and installation. So you can check that in the Fugitive library. Anyway, there's a whole bunch of videos you can see when we went and got the car, all of that good stuff, and all of the upgrades we've done already, future upgrades, all of that good stuff. So thank you for watching, and here's that price breakdown. Have a great day. So as you see, I finished the brakes and I got them installed on the car. And because I'm a man, I didn't want to read the instructions, and I decided to read the instructions and found the calipers are meant to be oriented on the front. So now I get to tear them kind of back apart and put them how they're supposed to go. But overall, great product. It's just, I decided that I didn't want to read the instructions like an idiot. So always be sure to read the instructions so you don't have to, spend a couple hours fixing your mistakes. So we're going to do the parts price breakdown here. And granted, this is without the sway bar because I haven't decided which one I want to use yet. Also, you may want to use different shocks, so I didn't put those in. I used a lot of new hardware. That's just up to you. But anyway, basically to build the front end that I have here, so with the Borgeson power steering, a lot of QA1 parts, and the awesome LEED disc brake setup, which converts it from manual drum to power disc. This is what it's going to cost. So I had the QA1 upper control arms. They are about $455. The lower control arms are $584. The dynamic strut bars, those are $300. The camber bolts, which are the adjusters, they're $70. The tie rod sleeves, those are $85. And the torsion bar adjusters, they're $123.95. So that's all the QA1 stuff that I used. You're looking for that approximately $1,615. Awesome stuff and way better than the original kind of flimsy stuff. And by the time you buy a front end rebuild kit and do all the work and everything, it's really not much more than getting like everything through PST or Moog or whatever. Anyway, but that doesn't include your lower ball joints or anything, which I will tell you about here. The LEED Max Grip light disc brake setup, so that's of the power booster, all the parts. They sent all the hardware, everything. Really cool, solid kit. That was $2,024.96. The Borgeson power steering, which you can't see right now, and that wasn't part of the original, like where I was showing you what I was building. But that's going to change your ratio. The box is a lot smaller than the factory box, and it's just an all-around better system. This comes with the pump, the box, the hardware, everything, or sorry, the bracketry, and the cool steering joint. That is $1,205. It's awesome setup though. Then I got the PST torsion bar master kit. So that has the torsion bars. It comes with the rubber and the clips. They're oversized, so they're a little bit bigger than the factory one, so it will handle better. That was $316. And then as far as the lower ball joints, the idler arm, the pitman arm, I chose to use Moog just because they're good quality and everything like that. They are a little bit tougher to find than some of the less expensive brands that you can get from O'Reilly's and all of that, but I wanted to go with good quality stuff. So you've got the pitman arm, that was about $71. The idler arm, that was about $70. And then each of the ball joints were 45, or sorry, the lower ball joints, sorry. About $45 each. So all in all, to do this front end, how I have it here, again, not counting shocks, not counting the sway bar and a couple other things, you're looking just about $5,400 to build this front suspension. Now, yes, you could do an aftermarket K-frame, but there's a lot of other stuff that you have to go along with that, such as the rack and pinion and all of that, and you'd be into it a little bit more, not a lot, but I guess actually those don't come with disc brakes, so you'd still have your disc brakes on top of that and whatnot. So really a lot of great stuff. This is all top quality, the best you can get pretty much, but it's going to make this car so much different. Anyway, so yeah, that's pretty much, that sums up the front end. I've just got to finish buttoning it all up, put the booster in and everything, and then you'll be able to see this car running and driving in its own video, which you'll be able to find the link in the Fugitive playlist. So anyway, thanks for watching and have a wonderful day.